Absolutely devastating update on the heat wave that continues to grip a significant portion of the United States. A Texas couple was discovered dead at their home in Baytown near the corpse of their dog. And that's apparently after their air conditioner broke during the heat wave. They had apparently intended to replace it, but didn't have the money initially. And so 4 days without AC in a period of more than 100-degree days, that's what happens in America these days. If you live in an area where your environment has been wrecked, thanks to our decisions, and you can't afford to have AC because of the effect of the economic decisions that we've made, you can simply die in your home. You, your spouse, your pet, just dead. They apparently needed $1,400 to $1,600. They were trying to get a loan, but they didn't get it in time. You know, we talk often about how like a $400 emergency would financially break 40% of families or whatever. This is what that literally looks like in practice. That if you are, unlucky enough that you've been left behind financially, that there's no aid coming, and this is what we've done to our climate, you can just die. And the couple's daughter, Roxana Floods, coming out of obviously is devastated, but says, I would love for something to be set up with these companies to warn people about how lethal this heat is. If they don't have the money to get their air conditioner fixed, to let them know that they're literally staying inside an oven. They are, of course, not the only people that have died in Texas during this heat wave. 7 people just in Harris County actually died from the heat. All of them, their deaths listed as being as a result of hyperthermia. And so we see this every year, but we're seeing it more and more. And in particular in Texas, this is a problem that they have just decided that they are not gonna fix. And if it requires more families like this to die, they're perfectly fine with that. What do you think, Francesca?
I mean, this is why the climate crisis calls into question our system of economy, which is rampant, unfettered, and cruel capitalism, right? And the government takes a backseat to corporations. The government takes a backseat to companies getting as much as they can off of people, no matter what company that is. And then when it gets too spicy for them, a la floodwaters in Florida rise, they just bounce like insurance companies that will no longer insure homes in Florida because rising tides due to climate change. But this is what happens, and there is no corporate, there is no individual solution. This is a governmental problem. It's not, oh gee, survival of the fittest. I'm sorry that these elderly people died in their homes because they couldn't afford to fix their air conditioner. What kind of God do you worship to say that that is allowed? No, you worship money, that's it. And we're not smart enough, and we're not selfless enough, and we're run by greedy ass mofos to the point where we can be like, we could retrofit our energy grids, we could democratize our energy grids, air conditioning could be accessible and affordable to everyone. But we will never do that because no one's making a profit off of that. That's just in the short term. In the long run, solar, wind, all kinds of renewables, the ways that we can actually help. In fact, democratizing the energy grid would cut down on fossil fuel emissions because you can generate your own electricity, let's say by solar panels on your home and whatnot. But we can't have anything nice. We can't adequately confront this crisis because money. Because capitalism.
100%, yeah. I mean, even look, obviously it's expensive to do these renovations, to do solar or something like that. But that's the sort of industry that requires massive subsidies. And there was some provision for helping people with purchasing heat pumps in the climate bill. Obviously, we're gonna need way more of that. But then you see again, as you say, the effect of capitalism. I saw recently in California. As you say, democratize the power grid. Like we want people to be able to be self-sufficient, but also theoretically we can be helping each other out.
Yes.
When you have solar, you can send energy into the energy grid. They recently redid the regulations where now they compensate you for like 1/3 or 1/4 of what they used to for that, disincentivizing people doing that because the energy companies bought the politicians, and the energy companies don't want people producing their own power.
Wild.
So the energy companies are just a weight shackled to our feet, dragging us down as the climate continues to become less hospitable to human life. We're moving in the exact opposite direction. We should be moving faster towards producing our own energy, storing our own energy, but instead, so that these companies can make a little bit more money, we're being wrecked. And we have a great example of that, by the way, in Texas, where again, they have their own separate grid because their politicians have been bought and nobody seems to care. On Sunday, Texas power prices rose. There's a lot of demand, a lot of people in AC, so it's expected that it would rise a little bit. They rose 800%.
My God.
Does that seem sustainable? I get that we're like a lefty show, so Texas conservatives probably aren't watching. And if they are, they're appalled by us because they think that we're Satanists. But does this seem like the way that it's supposed to work? The energy companies don't mind, they're getting paid. The politicians don't mind, they get paid from the energy companies. You're the one getting screwed, and it ain't blue city Dem mayors that are doing this. All of your leaders are Republicans. Your governor's a Republican, your AG is a Republican, your senators are Republican, most of your congressmen are Republicans. So what, is this Obama's fault that all of a sudden you're being totally screwed over on your power? Why don't you have a problem with this?
No, and free, like for a party that loves freedom and they go on and on and on about it, the fact that you cannot create your own energy source without plugging back into the grid and paying through the nose is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. And final thought, what if there was a power outage? There's been a power outage in Texas before. We just saw it, the deep freeze when Ted Cruz flew his ass to Cancun. What if that happens in the middle of this heat wave? You know how many more people are going to die because they don't have AC? There is a role for government to play. The fact that Texas does not have cooling centers in every single city, in every single suburb for people to go to be able to survive this is absolutely ludicrous, and it's an abdication of their responsibility.
100%, yeah. Yeah, the resources should be there. I don't know this couple that died. For all I know, they're like huge MAGA supporters. They would be alive if we gave a damn about what happened to people and if we prioritized it with our legislation. And if we start, I'm glad of the research that Ellen did here. Hurricanes, super dramatic. We focus a ton on hurricanes, and hurricanes can be really damaging. 8 times as many people die from heat in the US every year as hurricanes. But the hurricanes are the exciting thing. The fact that 600 people die just because they effectively are forced to live in ovens is not exciting, I guess, so we don't really focus on it. Every one of those deaths, utterly avoidable, but we choose not to.